What's the matter with you?
Whoa, that was good.
Was that good?
So this is the beginning of something fantastic.
That was really good. Claire Johnston in studio.
Thanks so
luisteraars
much.
en ons kykers, Mango Groove and also solo artist. That's what he's saying in that song, hè? Wat's fout met jou?
Don't sleep, man. What's the matter with you?
What's the matter with you?
What's fout met jou? Dis
That's
reg.
fout met jou.
I've got time for the Afrikaans version.
So you are
Moenie slaap nie.
Moenie slaap nie. You are the British lady more famous than the Queen, British born lady.
I'm more famous than the Queen.
I think so.
You
in
think
my world.
In your world.
In my world.
Well,
Especially
that
in
is
South
one of the
Africa.
strangest and most wonderful compliments I've ever had in my life. Thank you very much. Do I have to get corgis now? No, I've got two dogs.
What
they're
dogs do you have?
Two mutts. Well, the one is a rescue pug and the other one is a sort of pavement marvel. She's not even a pavement special. She's a pavement marvel. And so I'm ready to. Obviously I need to start waving.
Yeah, you start
practicing the
waving.
wave, and maybe the gloves.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Sure. So let me take you back. Where were you born in England?
I was born in a little town called Bishop Stortford, in a place called Hertfordshire, so fairly sort of south, and I think about 40 minutes outside of London.
Okay.
But I don't remember it.
Yeah, it's too long. But
I was
so how did you
3.
end up here? You were 3 years old, then you moved.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
You're very good. You know more about me than I do.
Yes, I
Should I be
Google.
worried? Your good old Google. No, I think what happened is my father came out to South Africa to set up a company. It was doing really well.
Okay.
And he ended up bringing my mum and I out. We were going to stay for a short while. And then basically everything went horribly wrong. He lost all his money. Their marriage fell apart. It got very ugly, actually. And he ended up going back to the UK and my mum and I stayed. And that's kind of how it all happened for me.
Okay, so and it was just you two girls.
Just us girls against the world. Absolutely.
And in Joburg days, that you grew up in Joburg or where?
Very much in Joburg. I've
Okay,
always
so-
been a Joburg girl.
Okay.
I've moved around Joburg a lot,
Yeah.
but never lived. I've stayed in other places. I stayed in London for a few months and things like that. But no, Joburg is very much home. I'm pretty entrenched.
And your favourite, childhood memory?
Oh goodness, there are actually lots. I mean, I think one of my favourite sorts of memories I particularly loved was a very happy time when I was about 11 when my mum got involved with a really nice man and we lived in Parkhurst before it became fancy.
Before it became fancy.
Yes,
The old Parkhurst.
and just playing in the street and jumping off the roof with an umbrella, pretending to be Mary Poppins, and just being a kid. Those sorts of memories were just those are my happy times really as a child.
If we just linger a bit longer on the childhood years,
Yeah.
were you always the creative one, always the outspoken one, or how would you describe you as a person
It's
then?
a tough one. I was a funny mixture. I think I was a combination of very shy,
Okay.
but also quite headstrong. And I used to have to fight to reconcile those two things. And I suppose I was creative in that I loved singing and I liked being praised for singing. I mean, let's face it, if someone praises you for doing something, what do you want to do? You want to do more of it. So that's where the singing began for me at the age of 3. I was told I had a lovely voice, and so I started to, to use it more
Just
and more,
embrace it more.
just to get more and more praise. Absolutely.
And then it's funny, people normally ask someone, so you started singing at 3, okay, and then you joined Mango Groove at 27.
17.
Yes. 17. Henry, 17 years old.
I know.
Now, that is
Crazy.
just amazing. I mean,
Crazy.
you're still in school.
It was my
And it's-
final year.
And it's the 80s. And
Yeah.
it's a mixed race band. It's groundbreaking stuff.
It's
you were probably
weird
watched by the, national intelligence
We
guys.
were. No,
Yes.
we found out later that we had
Yeah.
been, we were being checked out by the security police. Absolutely. And people ask me, well, what was your mother? I mean, your mother must have been, the insinuation is that your mother must have been a bit nuts.
Yeah. It's like trusting you with all these people.
She
and
just trusted
black people.
She trusted me.
That's just
And my
amazing.
mum was always a very open-minded person. So, all kudos to my mum.
That's just amazing. It
Seriously.
is amazing. And even venues that said you can't play there because you're a mixed group.
Yes.
You were confronted with racism from day one.
Absolutely. I
Especially in
think that's
those
when
days.
I woke up to the reality of apartheid, really, was when I joined Mango Groove.
Yes.
At the age of 17, I sort of suddenly had friends who were black, and I saw their reality, and it was quite something, quite scary.
And then for you, that beginning days, the fondest memories. Was it the music? Was it the collab? And this new cultures that you get to know? Open up a new
It's
world?
such a good question. I think what appealed to me about Mango Groove was the fact that it was a mixed bunch of people, including ages. When I joined the band at 17, Mickey Vilakazi was 64. And he performed in the entertainment corps in World War II.
Yeah.
You know, that's the sort of stuff. And now I'd grown up on, listening to jazz, like Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong. So my head was already primed, because Mango Groove has its roots in African jazz.
Yeah.
So, my head was sort of in the right space for that sort of sound. And I just like the fact, because for me, music it defies generations, it defies any kind of boundary. Mango Groove had that. I sort of saw that in Mango Groove. It just sort of spoke to me somehow.
That's amazing.
Ja.
Ek het nog 'n paar vrae. I want to talk English, philosophy and politics.
Oh,
after the
I
outbreak.
know where you're going with that.
Yes. Ons gesels verder met Claire Johnston, saam met ons in die ateljee, altyd fantasties as iemand die moeite doen om by ons te kom kuier so vroeg. It's really a privilege.
It's a total
it's really
pleasure.
early, and sometimes people don't want to come to the show. They say it's
Oh,
too
no,
early.
no. It's actually a nice time of day. I think the trick is when
Yes.
it's not like I'm in the rhythm of doing it every day. That must be its own challenge.
Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yes, it is a
But
challenge.
when you do it unusually, it's
Yeah.
kind of exciting, but it's also a bit scary because you're terrified of oversleeping. So that's the
That's the
only
thing.
downside.
You
Otherwise,
wake up the whole time. It
that's
still happens to
exactly-
us.
exactly
Listen,
right.
so we spoke about Mango Groove 17, joining them,
Yeah.
you growing up, but you still studied. And you
did.
studied English, philosophy and politics.
Yes, I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, but it's so interesting. So let's filosofeer.
Ja,
So dit in
filosofeer,
Engels.
ja.
Wat is dit in Engels?
Philosophies.
Philosophy. As ons filosofeer.
Let's philosophize.
Let's philosophize.
Kom ons philosophize.
Yes.
Dis
So,
verkeerd.
about
Ek
life.
weet. Vergeet. Jy moet my asseblief
You
vergewe.
never had a normal job. You were into the
No,
music.
no.
Even though you studied, it's
Yeah.
interesting with the politics part, but it was just music.
It was always what I wanted to do, since the age of 3, as you rightly said. I just wanted to, be a singer, an actress and a dancer. And then at the age of 10, I got into a professional show called Annie, the Brickelberg production, and that ran for about 3 months in Joburg. And then we travelled the country for 3 months. And I was 10 years old, and it was wonderful. We had, we ran a bit wild in Cape Town and Durban. No parents around. We had chaperones, but they let us get away with quite a bit of blue murder. And we had tutors, and so it wasn't like ordinary school, but it was absolutely brilliant. So that really cemented it for me. So then, I was going to go and study. I was going to do drama at Wits, and then I hooked up with Mango Groove, and I met John and his friend Kevin, who I then later got involved with, and they were doing things like history, politics, English, and that made me think maybe I don't want to do drama. Maybe I'd like to do something slightly more. Sort of intellectual.
But it's good.
Which I'm glad. I'm glad I did it, because actually, to some extent, I mean, I'd had a very good education, but at the same time, it was during a time where we would get fed selected bits of information. So university did help flesh out my,
Would
my
you say
sense
it
of things.
was like a backup for you, or were you really intrigued in what you studied?
I was interested, but I was a very slack student, and I was kind of caught up in my first sort of serious relationship. And I was also involved with Mango Groove, and we were on the road a fair bit. So it was pretty heavy. So I was relieved I got my degree. I was actually quite astonished, because that third year I was traveling a lot. So I'm quite pleased I'd finished it.
And in musical highlights, I mean, one performance was, there was 1 billion people viewing that with the tribute with Freddie Mercury.
Yes.
I mean, that
yes,
is
yes.
massive. Even just once in your life, there's a
Yeah,
billion
no, it's
people
insane.
that's seen you. It's like, what song did you do? Can you remember? for
We
the
did.
tribute?
The song that got broadcast was Special Star. Predictably was Special Star. Yeah, no, it was awesome. But you almost can't think like that. You
Yo,
can't
it's
think,
massive.
because we had, I think, 25,000 people in front of us.
Yeah.
And then it was satellite linked correctly,
Yes.
as you correctly say. And that's when the numbers get huge. So you are potentially being watched at one time by, I don't know, a billion.
Yeah,
they say a billion.
people.
Who
They
knows
say
if
a
that's
billion
accurate? But that's a lot of people. And so you can't even think about that. You've got to focus on the audience in front of you. That's your audience. That's all. That's who matters.
And that's now a big thing. But some of the special moments that stood out for you, maybe concerts, places you've been with the band, traveling overseas, even here.
Yeah, no, the first time you start traveling, so the first time we traveled, of course, was around South Africa. That was amazing, because it was, in those days, I was the only girl in the band. So the guys and I would pile into a van and we'd just go around the country, and usually around December, and it was wonderful. It wasn't like work, it was like fun. And then, of course, your first international traveling, and our first international travel was to France. But a show that for me will always be probably my ultimate highlight was the 1994 inauguration concert of Nelson Mandela. It was just where everything came together. You know, it doesn't get much better than flyovers with new flags and 21-gun salutes and Madiba, and again a huge audience watching on television as well as a huge audience on the lawns in Pretoria. So it was just one of those emotional days.
I doubt that you still get stressed out when you need to get on stage, though.
Really?
But your most nerve-wracking performance up to date, can you still remember it?
Oh, you know, for some reason, I still get very nervous. And it doesn't matter how big or how small the show. Sometimes the smaller ones can be scary because they're more intimate and they're, more personal. No, I think something like the inauguration was terrifying. We also performed at the handover of Hong Kong to China in '97. That was also scary because that was a huge media contingent. Again, satellite linked. Again, more than music. You know, sort of a big event. So, but everything sort of is scary because it's never the same. Every gig is different. Nothing is, every time we perform, 11 of us on stage, our chemistry can vary, and so it's always, and the audience is always different. So that's what makes it exciting and scary at the same time.
Do you still have contact, everybody? You still, having a braai now and then together?
Well, we perform a lot together.
Yeah, but you still, and I mean, you did that tour here as well a couple of years ago.
Yes.
That the Opikopi guys organised for you, and there was a big tour.
But
that's about 5 years ago.
No, we've been doing lots of shows.
A lot of shows and still
lots.
Friends and still fun.
Oh no, totally. We had a lovely Christmas party in December. But no, we have at least 2 or 3 shows a month. And
I don't think people know that because it feels you're quiet, but you still.
No, we're very busy,
there,
and especially with the new album coming out,
Yes.
then things pick up again as well. But no, we're always pretty busy. And what's been so nice for us is there's like a new generation of South Africans who've discovered us.
Yes.
So as you say, Opikopi, Splashy Fen, Rocking the Daisies, Park Acoustics. We did we did 3 of those last year, and just 17, 18-year-olds know the music. They know the songs. And that's just incredible. That, for me, is
I just realised now when I saw you last, was at the Wildsfeest in Tabazimbi, and it was in the same week that I think someone, Eugene Terbrans, was killed or something. So people were so scared of being in one place together.
That's
Just as far as people were so
I'm
scared.
having a flash of that.
Yes.
Well remembered.
So now, the new album, when is it going to be released?
Oh, no, it was released in November last year.
Oh, already last year?
Yes.
Why don't I have this?
Have you not been sent the album?
I'm going to get one
Oh
now.
my goodness,
I'll buy it.
I'm so no.
Yes,
I should have brought one for you.
No,
I
I will
assumed
buy
you.
it.
No, you will not.
Okay,
I will
but-
be speaking to our record company about this.
I know, we will definitely.
I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
No, it's a brand new album. It's called Faces to the Sun. It's a double album. The first half is a tribute to some of our favourite South African songs, and it involves some of our favourite South African artists, like Juanita Du Plessis, like Kurt Darren, like Zolani Mahola from Freshly Ground, like Vusi Mahlisela, Rebecca Malope, Moshe from Mikasa, and then the second album, which was born out of the first one.
Yes.
The first one was the plan, and we were so inspired that we started writing new material. So that's what album 2 is about, and that's all brand new material. And we've just released our brand new single called Kind, which I'm particularly proud of. It's a song that was written around the time that John, you remember, he's now my ex-husband.
Yes.
We separated during the beginning of recording of this album 4.5 years ago, and my mum also passed away that year. It was a very,
So it's
very,
very tough,
very
yeah.
dark time.
Sure.
But it shows you just some amazing things can come out of darkness.
We're going to play that video. We're going to end the show
Wonderful.
this morning
Oh,
with
thank
with
you. I
Kai.
really appreciate
And then a last question. How old can a mango tree get? How many years?
Wow.
We've got about 10 seconds.
And I'm nowhere near my phone to hit the
You
Google
can
button.
just
How old can a
guess.
mango tree get? 200 years old.
Yes, it's close. 300.
You're kidding.
Can you believe it? 300 years
I
old.
nearly said 20, and I
Yeah.
decided to add a zero.
Thank you so much. It's been
No,
a privilege.
thank you.
I will
What a
get that one. Don't worry
joy.
about it. I can't imagine I don't have it.
No.
So thank you so much. Yeah. Come visit us again, and then we'll
I
sing
would
a song.
love to.
Yeah.
Jeff, I want to hear a reworking of Johnston more in Afrikaans. And my
Yes.
Afrikaans is
With
fun. I sing in Afrikaans on the new album.
Oh.
I can do it.
No, we're
I just
gonna
don't
do it.
trust my vocab en my
No,
taal.
ons gaan
It's a
foneties.
bietjie swak.
Ja, we'll do it. Thank you so much.
Baie
Gary.
dankie. Thanks so much.
Jy kan geskakel bly vir jou nuus weer en verkeer.